Hello everyone and welcome here to another Football Manager experiment. Today we are looking at the question that's popped up quite a lot this season. Is Erling Haaland scoring a lot of goals just because he's at Manchester City? Or would Harry Kane be able to do the exact same thing? That's what a lot of people are saying online, is that Haaland has done nothing special. He's just the main man in a amazing Man City squad that's scoring tons of goals, and Harry Kane would be able to do the same thing if he had that backing. So we're going to run that simulation here on Football Manager, and we're also going to do a little fun one towards the end where we're going to put both players in the same Manchester City team and see how that works out as well. But first of all, we have run a season here with Kane at Spurs and Haaland at Manchester City just to give ourselves a bit of a baseline of what we can expect. As you can see, Harry Kane at Spurs, 53 games, 21 goals, 6 assists, 1 yellow, 1 red. Passing percentage of 83% and an average rating of 7.04. And Erling Haaland in his season at Manchester City, he's had 48 goals. No, he's not 48 games, 28 goals, so outscored Harry Kane. 4 assists, no yellows, no reds. Slightly better passing and better average rating. If we look at Harry Kane, let's see where those goals have been. So we've got, where are we? There we are, 11 goals in the Premier League. 7 in cup competitions, 3 in continental, and 6 in international as well. So a big spread. As you can see, only 11 then in the Premiership itself, which is not an ideal amount for him, to be honest. That's very low compared to real life, in fairness. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? And if we look at Haaland, it's Haaland, Rimmer. There he is. He managed to get himself 17 in the Premiership, so again, very much lower than real life this season. 3 in Cup, 8 in Continental, 1 in International as well. So that's our baseline for both Kane and Haaland. Next, we're going to swap them around. So Erling Haaland is going to spend this season at Spurs. I mean, people get less for murder, don't they, really? And Harry Kane is going to get the honour of playing up front with a Manchester City squad that is going to be very, very willing to lay the ball on a plate for him over and over again. So without further ado, let's click ourselves straight in to the end of that season. Right then, here we are back, and one thing I do notice from this initial screen is that neither Kane or Haaland made it into the top goal scorers in the Premiership, and it makes you wonder how realistic this game is when Kai Havertz scored 22 goals and Chelsea managed to get third in the league. One thing that Harry Kane moving to Spurs and Haaland leaving has happened is that Liverpool managed to get hold of the Premiership rather than Man City winning it, which is quite surprising. And Spurs themselves only finishing 6th, so I don't think this move really helped either of the two. First of all, let's check out Manchester City and their man Harry Kane, who was their top goal scorer, 21 goals. Let's see what the distribution of that was. 12 in the Premiership in 32 games, with 3 assists and 1 player of the match. 6 in cup competitions, 3 in continental. So yeah, 12 goals in the Premiership is not ideal at all, is it really, for Harry Kane? He'll be expecting a hell of a lot more, and I'm pretty sure Pep will be expecting a hell of a lot more as well. Phil Foden brought up 17 goals. Julian Alvarez with 16 in... You know what? That's a much better goal return, isn't it? I know he's had 27 substitute appearances, but 16 goals in 15 starts. I think that's probably a better return than Harry Kane. I might have gone for Alvarez the whole way around, to be honest with you. Assist-wise, De Bruyne, of course, was 17, so it was disappointing for Harry Kane. Probably not as well as he expected to do, but let's see what happened with Mr. Haaland over at Spurs, because they haven't done as well as they would hope either. Over there, of course, Haaland is their top goal scorer with 22 goals. Kulusevski with 14, Son with 13 as well, Richarlison popping up with 5. That's a bit more realistic. Haaland himself then, 16 of those goals were in the Premiership and 3 assists, 2 player of the matches, none in cup competitions, 6 in continental competitions. They would have been in... They're not in the Champions League, were they, this season? So is that goals in the... Oh God, look at this little run here towards the end of the season. No wonder Spurs collapsed. Look at this. This was an awful run for them. They were in the Europa League, I would imagine. No, they were in the Champions League. Okay. Didn't do fantastically well, though. Managed to get through the knockouts. And then were knocked out by... No, they went through against AC Milan. They got knocked out in the Champions League quarterfinals against Real Madrid with Jamie Donnelly. Who's that? A Northern Irish striker scored the goal for... Well, don't look very good for Spurs, does it really? If Harry Kane leaves, we've got players like this having to step up and do work. But there we go. Yeah, it's disappointing, in my opinion, for both of the players. They both would have expected a lot more from their runs. But an interesting one to see now, then, is how would the two players be if they were both in the same Manchester City team together? Do Man City thrive with having that one target man for everyone to focus on? And is having two strikers in this Man City formation just too much? Let's find out as we run a simulation of a season with both Harry Kane and Haaland up front with this Manchester City team. This is going to be brutal. So many goals. And here we are. So having both of the guys in the team has not worked out incredibly well. They've only finished third in the league, and I can only imagine that might be because they've had to go a lot more attacking to fit both those strikers into the team. And as you can see, Haaland has had an absolutely incredible season. 35 goals in the Premier League, highest average rating, most player of the matches. So maybe for Haaland, having a strike partner is the ideal situation for him. Let's have a look at his stats in more detail. 55 goals this season, 11 in the Champions League, 35 in 33 games in the League, 2 in the FA Cup, 6 in the Carabao, and then a couple more in international as well. So as you can see, a fantastic season. His best ever goal scoring season, which is what you would expect in a team like Manchester City. This is what I was expecting from the Control, to be honest with you. But if we look across at the squad, Harry Kane himself, 51 games played, only 20 goals, 10 assists. It's not a terrible return, but you would expect more from 9 goals in 30 appearances in the league, which wouldn't be terrible if he was getting a ton of assists, but he's not. Only 3 assists, 2 player of the matches, and a 7.13 overall rating. It's not terrible. It really isn't terrible, but in my opinion, I feel like it's tricky though, right? Because evidently from this test, it shows that Erling Haaland playing up front with another striker would be very beneficial for Haaland, but for Harry Kane, it's just not worked out well. I think Harry Kane as the prime target for that Spurs team definitely is his strongest position. I think moving to someone like Manchester City or even Manchester United are linked a lot this summer as well might not be the best move for him. I don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? I mean, where does Harry Kane sit? I feel like he should stay in the Premiership because, of course, he wants to get that all-time Premiership top goal scorer. But I feel like at this point of his career, I think it's just going to be best for him just to stay at Spurs. Because if he does move, if he moves to Manchester United, which the rumours are, it's going to cost roughly 100 to 125 million, apparently, according to the rumours. And he's going to have to do a hell of a job to justify that. And a man in his early 30s, can he do that? Or is it just going to be one step too far for him? On the other hand, Erling Haaland, very young player. What is he now? 22, 23? 22 years of age. He is just going to go from strength to strength, isn't he? I mean, 35 goals in this season. In real life, he had even more than that. He's broken every record going. And he had a very quiet end to the season as well, which is quite disturbing. If he kept up the same run the whole way through the season, he would have been even further ahead of everyone else. But you know what? He's just a cyborg, isn't he? He really is. But as we found here, maybe playing up front with a strike partner might be beneficial for him. Was that what he did with Dortmund? Am I getting confused? Or was he a solo striker at Dortmund? I'm not sure, to be honest. You might have to let me know on that one. I know at Salzburg he had Minamino and somebody else up front of him as well. So I think he would probably do well with some more support. But then again, the way the Man City team is lined up with all those attacking midfielders, with your De Bruyne and your Grealish, Foden, Bernardo Silva, those sort of players all assisting, I feel like in real life Haaland is going to be absolutely fine, and he's going to do as well as he wants to do for as long as he wants to do it. Whether he'll stay at Man City's entire career, I doubt it. I feel like just from the fact that he's been playing football for 5 years and has played for 4 different clubs, I think that shows that he may be someone who likes to make moves and likes to win as much as he possibly can, and it'd be interesting to see how long he does stay at Manchester City for. But there we go. That's our little simulation run on Football Manager. So basically, Everyone online that argues that Harry Kane would do just as good a job at Manchester City, that's not what Football Manager believes. Football Manager believes that Erling Haaland is an enigma and somebody it's very, very difficult to mimic. Unless you're playing up front alongside him, I suppose. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Hit the like, subscribe, leave a good stuff, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye!